Hello, friends. It is me. I am here. I am Octopus. Because we had an octopus redeem at the end of stream yesterday. So I promised I would wear it today. Hello, Shop the Alpaca. How's it going? Pie, I hope your interwebs stop being laggy. Exiled Faye, hello. I did switch us maps today because they did do different birthday decorations this year. So there appear to be a bunch of balls. There's some cake and drinks, I guess. There's a bunch of balls around. And there's this big strawberry cake. So I do think the decorations are slightly different than they were last year. So we're gonna... Oh, look! You can see the cake. So we're gonna hang out in this map today. It does mean that we're gonna be spawning different ducks from yesterday. But we'll go back to yesterday's map after we spend some time in the birthday map. It is the second birthday of the Placid Plastic Ducks. And the floaty has a little tiara. We've got 2 hydrates and a stretch from Pie, so we're going to start with those in a second here. You didn't have to be the octopus. Listen, I put on the octopus hat and I gave Ghost a hug. You can ask him. I waited until he woke up from his nap, and then I went down to his office wearing the octopus, and I gave him a hug. But I'm also going to wear it on stream so that you get some extra use. You didn't get to see the hug happen, so you get some extra use out of your points, Pie. I know you're always trying to give your points away, but I can feel the hug. It definitely happened. Ghost was feeling a bit cruddy when he got home from the dentist yesterday. He was in the dentist chair for 3 hours. He did basically get 2 root canals on the same tooth, plus some other fillings. So he had quite the headache when he came home yesterday. He went and took a bit of a nap. And after he got up from his nap, I put on the octopus and I gave him a hug. He can't confirm right now because he's in the kitchen making himself some breakfast. But I'm sure when he comes around later, he will confirm. And then after he woke up a bit from his nap, he said he did feel quite a bit better. So look at this. We got 2 of the default ducks. Sneaky sneak. So yeah, let's do our hydrates. 1 and the 2. Actually gonna take off the hand socks because I'm warm with the octopus on. And we're gonna stretch. We got our extra little duck friend over here behind me. Heck yeah. And today we're gonna do writing prompt. So I'm mostly editing right now. I have my plan/schedule set out so that I will be finishing Beyond the Moon's Beams on Monday. So I have, I think, about 6 more scenes to tear through for that book to be finished. And then after that, I'm going to be doing a late pass edit using the feedback from the first round of betas on Visions Unlike They Seem, which is the 3rd trilogy in the Aravalia Chronicles. Actually, that reminds me, I have to change the background. We have to change what project we're working on today. I forgot. There we go. It just cleared chat, but that's okay. Now we see the proper project. Uh, so I'm doing quite a lot of edits right now. So, hey, Rise Duck is here. Heck yeah. So it's kind of nice to have a break sort of smack dab in the middle of it to do some actual writing. Because really, since about March, the prompt novel has been the only writing that I've done. I haven't done any raw drafting since I finished writing the end of the Arvalia Chronicles series, which I think I finished in February. I finished it pretty quickly. So I've been in editing mode for quite a while. I'm getting to that point where I'm like super sick of edits and I'm ready to just push through and be done. But I'm trying not to rush, of course, because I want the end of this book to be as good as it possibly can be. So, I like it. I like when Silkfoot tries to do the complicated ducks, but he can't do the horns. Oh, too cute. But, I didn't say you always throw away your points. You try to give us way more points for things than you need to, Pi. You're always like, I will pay 10,000 points if you hug Ghost Pepper, and you don't have to pay that much for a hug. That's an overpriced hug, in my opinion. Like, you paid 5,000 points for the octopus hat. You deserve to have more than just me hug Ghost Pepper. I'm just trying to give you the most amount. No, you don't. No, you're paying too much. You're paying too much, Pi. Pay less. Wordy girl! Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in. How's it going? We've just begun. We're just in our initial chatting stage. Oh, Peter's duck is here. Heck yeah. Like how they just drop in out of nowhere. Oh, Rai's down there. Welcome in! Yes, Placid Plastic Duck Simulator. It's apparently their second birthday. I didn't realize, but we were on the ski map yesterday, and we got a brand new birthday duck that spawned. So we have 2 cake ducks now. There's the first cake duck, which we named Pie because there's no pie duck. And then we have a second one now. So we have chocolate and strawberry. So we're hanging out on the main map today so that we can enjoy the new birthday decorations, because I do think they're slightly different this year. My husband said he wishes he could have this in real life. I know, right? It's just so chill. If you could just go, like, get on the floaty and just have a bunch of, like, ducks floating around you, it would be so relaxing. Also, Very Saxy, hello, welcome in. Una Quintisa, did I say that right? Welcome in. How's it going? Wordy girl, how was your stream? I use the pixelated version of this sometimes. Oh, interesting. I didn't know there was a pixelated version. Like, is it a different game? Yeah, I like that the ducks just drop in out of the sky. I also have a deep-seated need for an infinity pool filled with rubber ducks. Yes. It's called Watch Your Plastic Duck. I'll have to check into it. That sounds interesting. I know that these guys, the Placid Plastic Duck guys, are working on I guess it's going to be like a multiplayer pool where you can, like, your ducks can race, although you don't control them, you just kind of watch them, and you can get, like, points to dress them up, which sounds super cool. Thank you, Very Saxy. This hat was made by the lovely It's Woof, a friend of stream, also a fellow streamer. Handcrafted. I picked the colors. So you can kind of, if I tilt my head, you can kind of see there's like a whole body in the back. Hopefully that showed up on camera. So I picked the colors. And he hand crocheted this. And I think he's making another one. He said he started another one. So I don't know who it's for, but yeah. He's very talented at knitting and crocheting. And I made him a cross stitch of a massive carousel horse in return, which I'm still trying to get into the mail. My stream was pretty nice. Played games and sprinted, working on prompts. Nice! We're doing a prompt today as well. I've been working on, for anyone who doesn't know me, hi, I should introduce myself. I'm Megan Cutler. I write sci-fi and fantasy novels. If you're interested, you can check out megancutler.net over there at the top, which is where you can find samples of my work and links to my books. Also, the commands across the top, exclamation books, will bring up my generic like Amazon store page where you can look at everything I have out. If you're looking for my latest fantasy series, check out the Aravalia Chronicles, which we've actually been working on a lot on stream. That is a high fantasy that takes place in a modern world, so there's dragon fighting and magical Starbucks. Heck yeah. If you're more into sci-fi space opera, check out, not Eternity's Empire, that's different. Check out The Celestial Serenade, that is my epic space opera, which I just finished publishing last year. And then I also have my Magical Girls in Space, which is what Eternity's Empire is. So if you like Sailor Moon, if you like mythology, check out that one. That series is also finished. Heck yeah, thanks for doing that command, Pi. So that's where you can find my stuff. And today we are adding another, I almost said another novel. I'm not adding another novel to the prompts. I'm adding another chapter to the prompts novel. So the idea is that I'm writing a novel which is based entirely on writing prompts. I rolled up a bunch of prompts at the beginning of the year using my trusty dice. And we, I've put them on a list, and then each week I just go through and pick one, to be like the prompt for the next chapter, and the plot is based on the different prompts. So the prompt for today is, I believe it's that a family stumbles upon, let me get the exact wording, because I'm gonna need to make sure that I have it correct. A family on a hike stumbles upon a group of witches in the middle of casting a spell. So that's going to be the prompt today. I've been excited about this one because I've had an idea for it from the start, but I've wanted to wait until it fit into the plot better. So the moment has finally come for a family to be hiking in the middle of the woods and run into some witches, kind of like Macbeth. Which I can say the name of because I'm not in a theater. Thanks, Wordy Girl. I have a bit of a publishing buffer. I've made sure, because I actually don't write as quickly as it maybe seems like I do. So I have a bit of a publishing buffer for each year so that I can get books out pretty steadily. So we've been working our way through the Aravalia Chronicles so that I can publish it without interruption for the next couple years. So if you're looking at it and you're like, oh, there's only 2 books out, how long is this going to be? Does it have an ending? It does have an ending. The ending is written. It will get released. It'll just take some time. You could add Amazon as alias to books. What do you mean, Pi? I don't know what that means. I love when men do fabric arts because it's so frequently associated with women. Yeah, like, honestly, I think anyone should be able to do all of the hobbies. And me and Woof used to, we don't so much anymore, although we have talked about doing it again. We used to do craft streams with our friend Flutter, where all 3 of us were working on different types of crafts. And our friend Flutter is trying to get into leatherworking as well. So it's just super cool to hang out and talk shop, but also just do something that you find relaxing and fun. I always wanted to learn to crochet, but it doesn't hold my attention. I get bored. I get through like a couple of rows and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. But with cross stitch, for me, it's always about like filling out the pattern and like finding the most efficient way to do it with the thread. And I don't know, there's something about it that I find really enjoyable and relaxing that I didn't find in crocheting. You're a quilter. That's awesome. That's another thing that I feel like I would really love to do, but it doesn't. Whenever I try to do it, I'm like, this is too much. I can't get my brain. Rai, hello. We've got your duck in the pool right now, hanging out. Silkfoot's trying to be you, but he can't do your antlers. Your duck is here. How's it going, Rai? So yeah, like, my mom, used to do quilting, but, I just could never. It's interesting how you can wrap your mind around some things and then other things you try to do it and you're like, I just can't get my brain to do this thing. But I have seen some truly amazing quilts. Have to jet, have a blessed remainder of the stream, and much love and success to everyone and all the stuff. Wordy girl, thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for the raid. We appreciate you. And take care of yourself for whatever you have to do for the rest of the day. I did crochet for a while as a kid with my mom. Yeah, me too, but I just could never. Like, I'd get a couple of rows in and I'd be like, I have to do like 1,000 more rows of this for this to make anything, and I just can't. Tried to crochet and I don't have the patience, so I'm always impressed. Exactly the same. Like, Wolf spent months on this, and then he just mailed it to me. And I was like, damn. So I have seen people make some truly impressive I mean, this is truly impressive. I've seen people make some truly impressive things with yarn, with fabric. I have seen some truly impressive artistry in other areas as well. We have a friend who teaches art and design at the same school as Ghost Pepper Works, and she is just amazing with markers and painting and like truly talented. So I love to see what people come up with when they put their time into something. So it's fun. I always sort of regret isn't really the right word. I always kind of wish that writing was a little bit more visual, because I feel like writing gets grouped apart from all of like the other arts and crafts, and it's really the same. The process that you go through for writing and the creative journey, the creative mindset, and the way that you sort of develop the skill set, it's all the same. It's the same as someone who's painting or someone who's crocheting or someone who's, you know, spending a lot of time building something from base materials. But you don't see it because it's just words on a page. And I think it gets not necessarily forgotten, but I think it gets grouped in a different way as a result of that, because the end thing that you make is quite a bit less visual. You can't look at a book and take it all in. You have to actually take the time to go through and read it. And sometimes I wish I had like one of those more visual skills, like drawing or painting or something, so that it would be easier to show off the things that are in my head in a more succinct way. But yeah, I have great appreciation for any form of creation, honestly, because it takes time, it takes energy, more so than I think people really realize or appreciate, unless you also are a person who does it. And people just come up with amazing things. Like, I never would have dreamed that you could make something like this out of yarn, but you can. So, heck yeah. Let me set up my document. Whoops! I love that when you do that, it gets, like, the splash on the camera. Another hydrate from Pi. Cheers, Pi. I'm gonna do an extra one. Because Pi is so generous. He deserves an extra one. Let me get my document. Yeah, Fox specifically did ask for one of the stone ducks. But I do feel bad that the only map that the marble and stone ducks really get to move around on is the space one. Yeah, Pi, because you're my friend, and you deserve it. You're always so generous and so kind, and you take care of all the streamers. Forgot what I was doing for a second. Okay. Now I also have to remember this character has a sister and I gave her a name. And I have to remember her name because otherwise that's gonna get confusing. I think I put her name in here. Constance. Her name was Harambe, trust me. Pi, you're as bad as Woof, always trying to make me name everyone Bob. I do have a bad habit sometimes of, well, first of all, a lot of my characters don't get names in the first draft. So if a character has a name, they generally have to have survived at least one full draft in order to even earn a name in the first place, unless they're like a main character. But then I also have this bad habit of once I finally do give a character a name, sometimes I forget that I've given them a name if I don't write it down somewhere, and then I give them another name. Or I forget that I used a name and I give another character the same name. I've done that a couple times. Woof has, on more than one occasion, because he's one of my beta readers, been like, by the way, you named two people this. And I'm like, oh, I'll fix that. I mean, what makes you think you wouldn't survive the first draft, Pi? Why do you think I would cut you out of the novel? You're my good friend Pi. My good and dear friend Pi. Why would I cut you? I'm the boring one, Pi. Trust me. Trust me. Although people do tell me that I've led an interesting life, which always surprises me, because I don't feel like I have led that interesting of a life. But we went to a dinner with some friends. I think it was like just before the pandemic started. Because one of said friends is also a teacher at Ghost Pepper School, and his wife is a chef. And she loves to cook big dinners and host people, so we went over to her place, and we were talking to a bunch of her friends who were older gentlemen, like, definitely had lived much longer lives than me. And we were, several hours into the conversation, because after eating, we would just stick around and drink wine and just chat. And one of them looked at me and was like, "You've led such a fascinating life." And I was like, "Oh, thank you," because I don't feel like I have. I feel like there's so many people with, Pi, I don't think you're that much older than me. What year were you born in, Pi? Okay. What are the first 3 numbers of the year in which you were born? I'm 80 at heart. I don't think that you are 80, Pi. I think that you're telling me... I think that cap is happening right now. To use your own vernacular, I think big cap is happening right now. I think I'm being lied to. Feeling old and being old are 2 different things. But yeah, I guess because I've lived in a couple of different countries. I've traveled to more countries. I've experienced a few things. I guess that makes me worldly and interesting, but I never feel interesting. Born in 199. Pi, the first 3 numbers of my birth year are 198. So I am older than you. Thank you. Get off my lawn. Get off my lawn. Yeah. 1985. Take that. I think people know my age. 1985 I was born. So that's how math works. 1999. You are not 80. So is the official song of your life, "We're Gonna Party Like It's 1999"? Oh my god. I'm really old, aren't I? Because I cracked that joke. Okay. So you traveled back in time after living 80 years? What's the future like, Pi? Do we get flying cars? Do we get self-cleaning kitchens? Do we solve world hunger? These are the peaceful times? That's not what I want to hear. That's not what I want to hear, Pi. That's not... That's not the vision of the future that we're looking for. Oh my goodness. Alright, we're gonna be doing 30-minute sprints today, because that's pretty much where I live, is in 30-minute sprints. There's gonna be lots of clicky-clacking, because I've got a mechanical keyboard, and we love it. Laura14002, welcome in. I did say something about 1985. It is my birth year. I said it is the year that I was born in. Pi, you are fine. I appreciate you. I appreciate you hanging out. But we are going to move towards the productivity. 1989! Heck yeah, fellow child of the 80s. Welcome in. I feel like those of us who were born in the 80s have a special bond because even though we're technically millennials or elder millennials or whatever the hell they want to call us, we did have a slightly different childhood from the rest of the millennials. Like, I grew up in a situation where it was like, you came home from school or whatever, you went out to play with the other kids on the street, you didn't come in until the street lights came on. Like, we grew up playing sports in the road sometimes because there wasn't another place to do it. But, you know, playing with the other kids on our street, having basically a curfew where our parents were like, I don't want to see you until this time. And then you come in for dinner or whatever. I remember the advent of the internet. I remember, at least in personal homes, I remember the horrible sound the modem used to make when you would dial into the internet. 1976, respect. Steven Tuniga, is that how you say it? Welcome in, by the way. My friends and I used to wrestle in the street. Yeah, because that's what was available, right? And if you lived on the right kind of street, people knew to, like, slow down because the kids were always playing. There's this feeling old in your soul because you don't understand people and habits of this age and time. Feeling old as in, I like music of a few decades ago, and feeling old like I do when I move, something hurts or makes a creaking noise. That's a good point. That's a really good point, because I do, like, sometimes when my friends are, like, talking about shit they see on TikTok, I'm like, I don't understand this, and it does make me feel old in my soul, because it's like I don't Steven Tuninga, is that right? I always say names wrong. I'm really bad with names. Please correct me. Anyone whose name I say wrong, please correct me. I'm horrible with names. I'll try my best. But yeah, I feel that. It's like my my sense of humor does not align with a lot of my younger friends. Pie! Actually, I've said your name wrong many times, Pie. That's fair. My parents would literally blow a bugle out the window when they needed us. Nice. I was basically told that I could stay out until the streetlights came on, and then once I saw the streetlights coming on, I was supposed to come in. I said it right! Heck yeah! That may be a first for me. I grew up playing with sticks in fields, got in trouble for destroying crops a few times. Dang. Did you accidentally destroy them, or did you purposefully destroy them? I usually was out until I got back, sometimes after dark. Yeah, I mean, I knew people who grew up on farms, and it was the same. Their parents would basically boot them out the door in the morning, and they're like, come back either when it's dark or when you're bleeding. And that was that. Like, actually, it's very interesting if you know someone who grew up on a farm, because they all tend to have the same, not exact personality, but they tend to have the same blunt nature, where they're just very, like, they aren't really ruffled by a lot because, you know, that was their childhood, was essentially, are you bleeding? No, then get out of my face. We were jumping on the big hay ball stack, and we kind of broke two of them. Pie! I hope you didn't, first of all, I hope you didn't get hurt. I assume you didn't get hurt because you're like, too badly because you're talking to me, but as I understand it, it takes some actual, like, strength to break those. So did you grow up on a farm, Pie? You don't have to tell me. No one has to tell me anything about their childhood, but I'm curious. I am going to take a quick break, though, and then get into... This is technically a writing stream. We do actually do writing here on this channel, I promise. We have ducks and we have tangents, but we do also have writing. So I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to get quiet once the writing timer starts, but you guys don't have to. You can continue to talk about nostalgia and childhood, or whatever, for as long as you like. There was a lot of fields, but no, not a farm. Interesting. I grew up in farm country, but not on a farm myself. So, like, I had friends who grew up on farms, but I didn't have a farm. Like, I didn't live on a farm myself. We only had chipmunks when I was young. Oh, chickens. Chipmunks. This is my brain on not enough coffee. Chipmunks! Chimkins! That's awesome. Did you have them for the eggs, Pie, or did you raise them for other reasons? I assume for the eggs, but... Alright, we are gonna pause the ducks. I am going to take a quick 3-minute break to reheat my coffee, get into the productivity mindset, and when we come back, we're going to do 30 minutes of clicky clacking. I'm going to start on this prompt. Your grandpa had rabbits. I had a rabbit. He was a grumpy little fella, but we gave him as good a life as we could. He was an outdoor rabbit. Ah, I see pie. I will be right back. Take care of yourselves. Don't do anything I wouldn't do until I get back, which is a pretty low bar. Pie. Pie, did you consume a dairy product while I was gone? Don't be doing that. Definitely something I wouldn't do. Because it's something I wouldn't do. I used to love milk too, and then my body decided no more of that. I used to love cheese, and now I have such a fraught relationship with cheese. I can drink a whole liter at once. You probably shouldn't. You know what, Pie? I'm glad that you're not lactose. I'm glad that you don't, as Joe would say, lactose the way I do. My husband has a fagel. Is that how you say that? Or a fagel? He feels your pain about cheese. I think I totally missed the L in that. Yeah, I used to, like, for the first, 30 years of my life, it was fine. I just ate dairy whenever. And then I started to feel, like, really run down and really, like, just not well. And I had no idea that, like, eating dairy could make my back ache and my head fog and, like, all this stuff. And then I cut dairy out of my life and I felt like I was, like, 20 again. Alfagel. You get it from the tick bites. Oh no, it makes you allergic to mammal products. That's awful. I'm so sorry to hear that. We had a friend who had a near, I guess I shouldn't say incident, but he found a tick on him. And so he wasn't sure if it had been infected with anything. So his doctor put him on some antibiotics just to be sure. And he got a clean bill of health after that. But man, it's crazy some of what ticks can carry. We were on a trail actually last week with my in-laws, and they had put up a sign. They had like a map of the trail, and they had put up a sign that warned that there were ticks in the area. So we appreciated that. Because it's one of those things where sometimes you just don't think of it until after. Alright. I am going to put on a 30-minute timer. I'm going to get quiet, but like I said, you guys can continue to talk and chat, and I will catch up. I think I've decided how I want this to open, so we will see. In the beginning. That's not how my story is going to start, Pie, but you can start yours that way if you want. Pie, I can't always... just my brain autocorrects the things that you say. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. I might get sued if I use that one. According to Pie, who's apparently a time traveler, these are the peaceful times, Rai. That's not what we want to hear. I know, Pie. I know you do, Pie. But my writer brain just autocorrects that stuff. Oh no. Okay. Yeah, you do that, Pi. I have a feeling this is going to be like when you DM'd me about Cap. So be prepared to explain to me what it means, whatever you're about to say. Get your explaining hat out. Okay, it's a video. Okay, I'll watch it. Pie, or Ghost, Ghost Pie, Ghost Pepper. Confirm for Pie that I hugged you while wearing the octopus hat, please. I said your name horribly, but please confirm for Pie that I wore the hat. There you go. There you go, Pie. Confirmation. Listen, look. Oh my god. Why am I talking today? I haven't had enough coffee to speak English. Apparently. Yeah. I'm doing great. First day, new tongue. How can I be threatening him to write that? I'm right here. Soup? What kind of soup? Ooh, vegetable soup. I'm listening for the door because someone's supposed to come pick something up from here today. Hopefully they'll ring the doorbell, but you never know. Oops. That's what I meant to do. I was supposed to be there today. I'm going to leave right now. Maybe you'll get here in time for dinner pie. bet we have duck coffee. Excellent. Delicious duck coffee. Better get swimming, Pie. Better get swimming. Chop, chop. I have done something bad. I have switched tenses. I have switched from third person to first person. That's not good. My husband is gonna come up the stairs and English teacher me to within an inch of my life. I fixed it. Better than how I often write in second person. Sometimes it happens. You just slip into a flow. It's probably here. There is construction happening outside my house, down the street. I hear it too, vaguely, because I have my noise cancelers on, but that's probably what you hear. I do apologize if it's coming through in the mic. I can mute during sprints if it bothers anyone. They are digging up the poop pipe for the town and putting in a bigger one. So, unfortunately, there's not much I can do about it, but you could possibly hear beeping coming from here. Also, Delazar, hello. How's it going? Luckily, I caught it after I had only written a few paragraphs in the new tense. If I had gotten, like, a full page in, that could have been bad. My husband always loves it when his kids start their essays with "since the dawn of time." He loves it. He adores that. He thinks it's the best way to start an essay. right. So a bit of a slow start, 1,180 words, but I did have to go back and change into the proper POV, narrative POV, so there we go. Not a bad start. I'm pretty happy with this so far. It's very retrospective. It is a flashback. I think it's going well. Let's see what ducks we've got. We've got Ocelot. We got Nell. Peter's duck is still here. And up here, oh, we've got Barred Owl in the floaty, in the happy birthday floaty. We've got Silkfoot once again pretending to be the default duck, which is pretty funny. We need the exploding duck DLC. That would be very interesting if they made something like that. What did Pi do to Ghost? I'm procrastinating on my work here while I contemplate a dream sequence. Oh, Delazar, I love dream sequences. I know that there is some conventional advice saying that you should not do dream sequences, but I really like playing with dream sequences because you can do things in dreams. You can play with the physics and the imagery in ways that you can't often do with reality, and I really enjoy that. Since the dawn of time is usually a signal that an objectively false claim is about to be made. Since the dawn of time, farts have been funny. There you go. Incorrect because there was no one around to fart at the dawn of time. Stars don't fart. And even if they do, they weren't there at the dawn of time. They are made of gas, though. How do you know you weren't there? Second to last day, the Med Lad, welcome in. The countdown to internet happens. How are you doing? Also, Mania Coxie, hello, how's it going? We need the cork gun. If they start giving the ducks more ways to screw with each other, that will just be chaos. Dream sequences are way overused, but that's not a reason to not use them. So, what I've read, and I think this is a good point, but also not necessarily a reason to not use them. What I've read is that the reason why writing advice, I guess I should say, tells you not to use dream sequences is because they offer a false promise. Everything that happens in a dream is not real. And when the character wakes up from the dream, you've essentially erased what the character has done. So anything that the character has experienced during that time frame is essentially not progress or not, like, I guess people would say not relevant once they wake up. But I don't necessarily think that that's always the case. First of all, I started one of my books with a dream sequence where a character sees something happen in a dream, wakes up and realizes that it actually did happen. So it reverses the thing that the advice is essentially complaining about. What happened to her was a real thing. It affected her and it affected the narrative. So it wasn't a false promise. I also think dreams are a good way to deal with flashbacks or intense emotions. But I also have characters in my fantasy series in the Aravalia Chronicles who use dreams as a way to attempt to influence other characters or manipulate them. And I feel like these are good reasons to use dream sequences. They're not false promises that vanish as soon as the character wakes up. They represent things that the character has to deal with moving forward. Or essentially events that took place in a different space that still affect the relationship between the two characters that experience them. So you can 100% use dream sequences for a lot of good things. I do think it's good advice to use them sparingly, or to at least make sure that you're not using them as, like, filler. Make sure that they tie in with the events that are happening or that they affect the characters and whatnot. But I like to play with dream sequences. Wait, did they... Oh no, my duck is just in shadow. I was like, did they change my duck? Did they make my duck dark? But they didn't. It was just in shadow. I was like, is my duck dark now? Janine, hello. Yes, dream. I do have a character also who has dream hopping powers, so I use a lot of dream sequences. I use dream sequences as a form of flashbacks a lot. Yeah, I mean, you can't prevent yourself from dreaming about something traumatic that happened in your past. So if you have a character like I do, who is very insistent about not dealing with the shit that happened to them in their past, you can drop it on them in a dream, and then they kind of have to deal with it, because it's not going away. Just passing by for support. Good luck with today's load of work, and don't forget to visit sometime too. Petra Anne-Marie, I shall do that. Thank you so much for dropping by. Lovely to see you. I dropped my computer science major officially 2 days ago, going for associates in liberal arts. That's awesome! Yes, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what they do want to do when they first get into school. Like, once you get your toes dipped in something, sometimes you're like, this actually is not what I wanted it to be. Was going with one of the characters having a nightmare flashback about the time his friend died. And he almost died as well and started a world of pain for him. Yeah, dreams can be very useful. You don't necessarily want every other chapter to be one, but I definitely think that there's a place for them. It's interesting, too, because I think a lot of conventional writing advice is also for, like, not the fantasy and sci-fi genres, because a lot of things that apply to, like, contemporary romance or historical fiction don't really... Like, there's a whole different world of rules when you're dealing with magic and time travel or whatever. So, like, go wild. If you can make it work, you can get away with it. That's what I always say. If you can make it work, you can do anything. A lot of conventional writing advice seems to be for normal people. Yeah, I think that sci-fi and fantasy writers don't write writing advice because we're like, yeah, just do whatever. If it feels good, just do it. And people are like, that doesn't feel like helpful advice, but it actually is, because it sort of frees you from the limitations of what you're supposed to do, and lets you do, whatever wacky thing works for your story. I mean, I read a book once, and I actually don't think this concept worked. I actually think that this was a poorly written novel. It didn't hit with me. But it was an interesting concept. So I read this novel once, where the idea was it was supposed to be a palimpsest. And so a palimpsest, for those that don't know, because I had never heard of it, it's supposed to be like a tablet or some kind of, I want to say structure, but it's supposed to basically be some form of writing surface where the details have been either completely or partially scratched off and possibly replaced with other information. So the idea was that there was a story that had been partially erased and replaced with a different story. And so the idea that the author was sort of trying to create was this idea of multiple overlapping potentialities for a universe that intersected, and characters who had figured out how to manipulate the way that overlapping property worked in order to escape death or accomplish a goal or whatever. Now, for me, I say it didn't really hit because in the end, it didn't seem like there was actually a plot. There was just a bunch of chaotic stuff that happened, a bunch of different versions of the characters, and often the parts that I found the most interesting went nowhere and did nothing. And so ultimately, in the end, for me, it was just a mishmash of potentially interesting things that didn't lead to anything, but it was an interesting concept. I did appreciate the concept that the author was trying to work for. And if you can make something like that work, you can do it. No, I'm not talking about Cloud Atlas. We had bought a pair of books. I don't think you ever read them. One of them was called Ink, and I think one of the other one was like Parchment or something. And yeah, they just weren't very good. But that was the concept that the author was trying to create. Yeah, well, I did tell you that they were kind of garbage. I did tell you, hey, I did read these and they are kind of garbage. But, you know, if you can take a concept like that and carry it off, I think the idea behind Cloud Atlas was actually that there were 5 stories that were embedded within each other. Which is also an interesting concept, but I did feel like the movie didn't pull it off very well either. I have a bit of an unpopular writing advice. Learn a language, more if possible, and then share what you write because everything will be interesting for someone. But if nobody understands because you don't show it or your language is poor, your story won't find its readers. That's absolutely good advice. I don't know why that would be unpopular, but the more you understand the language that you're writing in, the easier it is for you to play around with it, do things with it, make it work for you, make it have meaning, have deeper meaning. I'm not doing justice to this advice, but it's very, very good advice. You have to know the rules if you're going to break them. And the more you understand not just grammar and punctuation, but meaning. Like, this is something that I'm sure people find me really pedantic sometimes because I get really picky about the meaning of words. 2 words with slightly similar meanings are not the same word. Sometimes a slight change in the wording of a sentence changes the meaning. And the more you understand that, the more you can squeeze out of your work, right? I was a little busy. How are you? I'm doing pretty good, the Mad Lad. How are you? Yes, Mr. Pepper is here today. It feels like grammar corrections. Very true. You do have to know the grammar of the language you're working in. And unfortunately, for English, that means a lot of really sucky rules. I discovered some of the feedback I got was ableist in terms of changing character personality. It turns out I was so personal about it because it was crushing a dream of mine. I mean, some people get this idea that there is a right way to write and that you should write certain things and that everything should basically be carbon copies of everything else. But that's not really what writing is. I mean, writing is about discovering what process works for you, what concepts are interesting to you, how you want to go about presenting your work. And what makes each writer's work unique is the approach that they take and the things that they end up putting into that. Because you put some of yourself into everything you do. And when a reader reads that, they also put part of themselves into it. Every reader takes something slightly different from a work because they are bringing their own thoughts and biases and personality and experience into that work. You're almost creating a framework, a canvas with a sketch on it, and you're allowing them to add the final colors. And that's fine. That's kind of how it works. That's kind of how all art works. You can't prevent that from happening. But when people try to start taking control of the framework that you're creating and start trying to tell you, this should be this way because that's how I like it, that's when you should step back and say, okay, that is their vision. That is not my vision. I am telling this story. They want me to tell this story. And not every story goes the way the readers want it to go. That's just, like, I've read books that I have absolutely adored, but wished that they ended differently. And that's just how, like, it goes, right? Each person brings their personal thoughts and feelings and emotion to that experience. So one of the things that we have to do as a writer is try to keep perspective of what our vision is, and not let other people tell us, well, your vision is wrong or your vision is bad. Because some people are going to try and tell you that, but that's not necessarily true. Yesterday, one beta said I needed to add panic to my character, and I just know it didn't fit. Yeah, and if you feel like it doesn't fit, and I always tell my because I edit for money the work of other writers, and I always tell them, if I give you advice that feels wrong or bad or whatever, outside of grammar advice, feel free to not follow it. I don't always agree with the way, my clients end up writing their stories, or the way, like sometimes, because I can't turn off writer brain, I read a really good traditionally published book from a very popular author, and I think I don't necessarily agree with how they chose to execute this, but it's not my choice, right? It's not, at the end of the day, I'm not writing that story. That's not my vision. And so to some extent, as a reader, you have to accept that the author is presenting their story to you. And you could not like it. Not every book is for every person, right? I read that book series that I just talked about, and there were probably people who really loved it. I wasn't one of them. But that, like, just because I thought that story was not good doesn't mean that there wasn't somebody out there who didn't think it was good. It got published. It sold copies. That author, I believe, has gone on to do comic books, which probably execute that concept better than novels. So, like, he found his voice and he found his audience, and that's great. I wasn't part of that audience, but whatever. And that's how the world works, is often that's how the place I live at works for me and the people I've met. So it's cool to read that advice, consider the reasons behind it, and see if it really applies to the story. Exactly. And, like, I grew up in New England. I have, friends and other writers that I know who grew up in New England who had an entirely different experience from me, and they lived 2 states over. So, like, and especially if you're writing in a fantasy world, like, you get to decide how that world works as well. It doesn't help to reject or accept advice without a lot of thinking. Yeah. And that's why I leave a lot of time in between my drafts. Like, I write a first draft and I spend a year away from it before I go back and edit it, because I want to come back to that with fresh eyes. I want to think about the things that I wrote and see if they still apply the same way in a year. And it's the same. I then send it off to my betas. I won't touch it for 6 to 8 months. And then I come back to it with the feedback from my betas, and I think about, well, would it work better if I clarified this, or if this happened instead, or if you saw this happen on camera instead of me just applying that it happened in a time jump, and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes it can be really hard. Like, sometimes somebody tells you, this scene isn't working for me, or this scene is confusing to me, and it's your baby and you don't want to touch it. But if you sit down and think about it, sometimes you can find a way to enhance that and make it more, fall more in the area that you want it to fall in, and enhance that vision, instead of detracting it from it. And sometimes you do just have to cut stuff. It does happen. But you definitely don't want to, like, have a knee-jerk reaction to something and react based on that. You definitely want to have sober thought about it, which is why I often read my beta's feedback, set it aside for a while, think about it, process it, and then come back later and decide how I'm going to handle it. Writing is hard, like we were talking about earlier. It's just like all of the other arts. It involves the same process. Like an artist has to do the same. If they've painted something and then they've showed it to someone and that person has torn apart their painting and told them how to do it differently the next time, when they're standing in front of that next canvas, they have to think about, well, which parts of that advice do I think were right, and how am I going to show my piece the way I want to show my piece? And they make all those decisions and then, paint whatever they want to paint. It's the same thing. I live with the firm belief that not every opinion is a good opinion. Same. And even someone with your best interests at heart can give you bad advice. Like, some of my betas leave little inserts or little changes, like suggestions into my novels, and they change the meanings of things. And I look at those inserts and I'm like, no, that doesn't mean what I'm trying to convey. But then the question I ask myself is there a clearer way to convey what I'm trying to say so that somebody doesn't think it was a mistake? Or have I done the best that I can do and I just have to live with the fact that somebody thinks it sounds better if you say it differently? Sometimes it does just come down to opinion. Sometimes it just comes down to, I notice that my betas, a lot of the time, the suggestions that they make have to do with their vernacular, with how they talk. They want me to change something because of the way they talk, their local dialect. I talk like this, so to me this sounds better. But when I'm writing prose, when I'm writing narrative, when I'm in another character's head, I don't want them to sound like this person's vernacular or that person's vernacular or my vernacular. I want them to sound like them. I want them to sound like that character sounds. I want to create a lyrical flow to my prose, that is efficient in its word, that is only using strong words and not using filler words, which we use all the time when we talk. And so a lot of the time you have to be able to look at something and say, well, that person's making that suggestion because if they were talking in conversation, that's how they would say that. But that's not necessarily how I want to express it in formal writing on a page, because formal writing on a page isn't the same as a spoken conversation. And so, as Uno was saying, the more you know about language, the more you understand language and the reasons why we choose the words that we choose, the more you can see those things and the more you can make an informed decision about whether or not you want to make those changes. Every writer makes a dozen stylistic choices a day. And sometimes your choices are going to sit well with some people and wrong with others. And sometimes there's nothing you can do with that. It's really important to accept that sometimes, well, all the time, you can't please everybody. And sometimes you please nobody. But that's as it goes. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and do another round of clicky clacks as I continue writing this scene. And hopefully I'm going to get a little bit... Hopefully I won't switch from third person to first person again, because that was like, oh wait, what have I done? I didn't start this scene in first person. So hopefully I won't do that again, so I won't have to spend part of the sprint going back through and fixing what I already wrote. And we'll see how far we get. So I will be right back. Don't forget to get up, move around, stretch, grab something to drink. Use the restroom if you gotta, and I'll be back. I'm back. Let's resume the ducks. I'm going to put on my hand socks because my hands are cold. And then we will start the timer for the second spront. Bart is still hanging out in that floaty. Just, she got it all to herself. I gotta take a... I'll take a screenshot for Bard Owl. Once again, blocking the slide. Alright. Oops. 30 minutes on the clock. Let's see if I stay in third person this time. Woof! I see you have interwebs today. I assume you have interwebs today. How's it going? Did you get your AC installed? Is it done? Is it finished? Are you cool? They're still working on it. I hear you, but that means you'll be cool soon. I'm glad that you have interwebs. I'm glad that you have interwebs, and I'm glad that you will soon have cool air as well. I'm doing pretty good. Getting through this prompt. Not switching from third person to first person like I did in the first sprint. I committed a cardinal sin. Take care, Ghost. Good luck. It's hot outside. Don't stay out there too long. Can't wait to hear how it goes. Remember how I said you get visions of a past life that you can use to influence your current game? Apparently, if you use that too much or overly acknowledge that, people start getting worried about you and can forcibly put you under medical observation thinking you've got schizophrenia or delusions or something. Interesting. So you can't... So the game forces you to use that mechanic sparingly. I'm gonna have to play this game. This game sounds fascinating. I was very undecided about it, but you've been so excited about it that I think I have to go add it to my wish list. It's actually still on sale, which is good to know. Good to know. I was a teenage exocolonist is what it's called, I believe. Wolf has become mildly obsessed with it. In a good way. Apparently, one of his boyfriends became a tree because it was what he wanted. Or so I heard during camera setup yesterday, before we got into the fight over what constitutes a chicken pot pie. I also did a playthrough where I did not let him become a tree. Now I'm going back to try and get a poly ending and someone else. Oh, that's nice. Is that your dog boy? Yeah, Bard has claimed that floaty, and she is, first of all, not sharing. Second of all, not moving. She is like, this is my comfortable time. This is my best life. Leave me alone. Can't tell me because it's a spoiler. No worries. Yeah, I guess I'll have to stop getting you to tell me things about that game if I wanna play it. Barry Saxy, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you've been enjoying your time with us. Gotta go. Love rating streams. Hope to catch you another in the future. Barry, thank you so much for hanging out. We appreciate you. I hope you have a fabulous day. And if you're working on anything at all creative today, I hope that the creativity flows for you. Take care. Good luck. Well, when a giant message pops up and it's a first-time person, I usually know that it's a bot. I'm getting close to the end of this scene. It's going very well. I'm quite pleased by the fact that I did not switch POVs this time. We're up to 2,638 words, which means I wrote more like I usually do during that sprint. So that was 1,458 words that sprint, which is more like I usually do in a sprint, which brings us up to 2,638 total. I always get it wrong when I say this, but I don't think I have more than 1,000 words left to do in this before I bring it to a close. It's going very well. It's going exactly the way that I wanted it to, which I only had a vague idea of how I wanted it to go, but it's going that way, and I'm pleased about it. But yeah, woof, I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying that game. I did take a quick peek. I'm not supposed to take a quick peek during the during the sprint, but I did take a quick peek. And it looks like it's 40% off right now, so maybe I did have a little bit of budget left over for the Steam Summer Sale, so maybe I'll grab it. Maybe I will take a look. And it seems like you can get through like a playthrough of it, and like it doesn't seem like it's a 100 hours to get to the end of the first playthrough kind of game as well. 29 wildly different endings based on the choices you make each month. Make friends, fight with your parents, go on dates, fall in love, save the colony. Get to know 10 dateable characters, including dog boys, aliens, hot politicians, and stone cold killers. My second playthrough is very different feeling than the first one. Interesting. Yeah, I had heard about this game, and I was very undecided about it. But the fact that you seem so taken by it really makes me interested in it. I definitely will wishlist it. Actually, I have my Steam open, so I can do that. I can add it to my wish list and keep an eye on it so that if I don't grab it this sale, I can grab it on another sale. I have so many I have so many coming soon games on my wish list now. There it is, okay. It doesn't always put it at the bottom of your wish list anymore, which is weird. Most of my wish list is still on sale because it's still the Steam Summer Sale. Just lost my contract job. Oh no, Nevermore. I'm so sorry to hear that. Although, good luck with the full-time writing. If you think it's gonna go well, hey! Nice. It was a horrible job. I'm sorry to hear that. It sucks that you were working a horrible job. But, if you're pumped for doing the full-time writing gig, go for it. I'm here for that. Okay, let's see, people in 1 week. Oh, I know. I have a friend who's working a job that she just started a couple months ago, and they keep firing people left and right, but telling her that she's fine. And she's like, I don't feel fine. I don't feel like I'm going to have this job for very long. Yeah, it is. It's a big red flag if they're just starting to let people go and not really replacing them as well. But hey, have you got a project like already on the go that you're going to be diving into, or are you planning to start something brand new? I'm taking a quick peek at my Steam wish list. I don't know if Exiled Faye is still lurking, but Exiled Faye had mentioned a game in the Discord called Interview with the Vampire Therapist, and I added it to my wish list. I'm waiting for it to come out. 8 more days. I'm 100k plus words in it. That's amazing, Nevermore. A fantasy project. Nice. I was just going to say, sounds like maybe fantasy or sci-fi. That's awesome. Now you'll have a lot more time to put into it. I put Vampire Therapist in my list too. Yeah, I'm sad that it wasn't out for the summer sale. But I'm interested and excited in that. I also have one called Tiny Bookshop that doesn't have a release date yet. That a friend of mine found. Mr. Roboto actually heard about it through the like summer like game announcement festival thing that happened. Summer Game Fest, I think it was, and he recommended it for me, and it looks like my jam. I instantly want to make a book store that is all sci-fi and fantasy books and force all of my customers to read them, but we'll see if that's a thing that it actually lets you do. Been traveling for a year now. Have you been traveling for work or just for other reasons? For work or for fun? For work. Yeah, traveling for work is like do you ever get to see anything, or are you always just on the go? Like, do you ever get a chance to do anything while you're traveling? Well, that's good. That's good at least. But it's quite a bit different when you travel for work versus when you actually go somewhere to do something. Was in Seattle for 6 months. Dang. And then, what is MN Minnesota for 3? I remember my states, maybe. St. Paul, nice. Nice. But if you've been traveling a lot, I bet it'll be nice to settle down, have more time to yourself. Travel is exhausting. And especially these days, like, it takes so long. If you're flying, it takes so long to get anywhere. My brother-in-law had tons of trouble with his flight trying to get out here to visit us. So yeah, okay, I gotta stop looking at my wish list, because we're not here to look at my wish list, we're here to do productivity. Met some writers there, it was interesting. Nice! Always interesting to meet other writers in other places. Guy wrote a novel about fantasy ghost trains. Interesting. Interesting. I'm going to take a quick break because it just ticked over to 1 o'clock here in our neck of the woods. So Ghost Rider, like Ghost Rider, the comic book character? The Nick Cage one? Nick Cage? I'm going to take a quick break because it just ticked over to 1 o'clock here and I need to use the restroom. I'm going to do one last refresh on my coffee. I don't know. I do have a 20-minute timer. So I think instead of doing a full 30 minutes for our last sprint, we're going to do 20 minutes for our last sprint. That should be enough for me to wrap up this scene because, knock on wood, it won't be more than 1,000 words, which I can easily do in 20 minutes. And then we'll see about rating because I gotta go make myself a salad today. Made me think of that, and then I read his first page and felt disappointed. Oh no! Was it like an early draft stage? Or just like a crazy idea? I'm gonna be right back. Don't forget to also take care of yourselves, my friends. Hello, I'm back. Oh, I forgot to pause the ducks. Amaya, hello. How's it going, my friend? Nice to see you. Oops. Turned off my noise canceling. How's it going? We should check in with our ducks. Our birthday ducks. I see that the floaty has gently drifted away from the stairs. It's still owned entirely by Bardal. Nevermore, thank you so much for the follow. Oh my goodness. Bard is still just keeping this floaty all for herself. All the other ducks are looking on in jealousy, although they can now get down to the bottom pool. We got coffee. My duck is checking that out because coffee. Nice. I don't see the birthday ducks having spawned though, which is interesting. Oh. This is a bop. Yeah, it is Bardal has claimed the floaty as her own. Living her best floaty life. We got a stretch from pie. Let's do it. We're gonna do one last 20-minute sprint to see if I can finish this scene. I think I'm pretty close. Uh-oh. Yawn incoming. Amaya, how's the morning treating you so far? This song sounds familiar. It's Game Chop, so it must be a remix of a game song I've heard. Last day of vacation! Well, I'm glad that you have one last day of vacation. I'm sorry to hear that that probably means you're back to work tomorrow. I hope work is not too terrible when you get back to it. I know that your job does not always give you the schedule that you want, to put it in a polite way. I've seen some of the stuff that you said on Joe's Discord. I hope they are a bit kinder with their scheduling. Work about to get busy, so I'm saying bye now. Enjoy the rest of stream. Exile Fade, thank you so much for hanging out. We appreciate you. Good luck with the rest of your day. I hope it goes smoothly. I hope you're able to stop right at stopping time. I'm acting store manager for the week, so that sounds either nice or very hectic. Depending on the type of store. So good luck with that. You'll get to be the one to sass people when they're like, I want to talk to the store manager. And then you can come out and be like, why are you bothering me? Get out of my store. I know that isn't how the manager actually gets to respond, but it's how you should get to respond. It should be. Oh no, Amaya. I joke, but I'm sorry. I know there are some really, like, whenever I think about, because I used to work at a Starbucks, and whenever I think about my time at Starbucks, I mean, it's not my only retail experience, but whenever I think about my time at Starbucks, I was like, you know, I really enjoyed making drinks. I sometimes enjoyed, like, talking to the customers while I was making their drinks. My coworkers were always really great, but it was the people who come in and are really pushy and really bossy. Like, the one guy bitched at me one time because I was putting the drip coffee in, because we were almost out of coffee. It was a massive rush. There was a line out the door. You have to have coffee brewed in order to give it out. And if you don't brew the coffee in time, you have to wait like 5 minutes. You have to keep people waiting like 5 minutes to get their coffee. And then they get even madder at you. So he's like, why are you not taking my order? And he's like, I gotta brew coffee so that you can have some. Like, and then of course you don't want to take their order because they're being a jerk. So, like, whenever I think about would I ever want to go back to doing something like that, the answer is inevitably no, because I don't want to deal with people. I would love to If I could, like, work in a room of isolation where I just made coffees and stuck them through a slot and didn't have to deal with people, sure, yeah, I'd love that. But the interactions with people, like, one really shitty person can, like, wreck your whole day. And I don't think shitty people realize that. They don't care, even if they do. And so it's just like, it's fun. Almost been stabbed 3 times. Maya, no. What? Why? That's in the place that you work now? That's horrible. Okay. I don't like this song for a writing song. Oh, it's almost over anyway, but I'm going to skip it. Interesting song. This is also an interesting song. I'm going to put up the final sprint warning. We're going to do 20 more minutes of me clickety-clacketying. And then we're going to see, can I finish this in 20 minutes? Can I finish this in 1,000 words or less? I think that's the main question. I know, I wish they had more. I wish they had more of them. I always like on, because I don't think they have a demisexual one either, sadly, which is mine. I always like on For the Words, they have like 20 different variations of all their Pride stuff so that they cover like literally all the flags, and I appreciate that. Have a huge drug problem, and a lot of the issue people, the police have told us not to interact with, and no one told me. Oh, Maya, I'm so sorry. I have so many customer service stories, but luckily no attempted stabbings. Also, Maya, I hope you're doing well. My parents worked at a movie theater and got robbed at gunpoint. Oh my god, I can't even begin to imagine. Our manager, when I worked at Starbucks, our manager was really careful because we were open to midnight when I first started working there. And he was like, okay, anyone who's closing, you don't go out of the store alone. You stay together, you don't walk home. Like, he always made sure that when we were closing, if one of us didn't have a car, which I didn't, that we would get a ride. The store, like, the acting manager for the night would always drive me home at the end of the shift, because it was, like, 1 a.m. until you finish all your stuff. And so, like, our manager was really careful, but, like, we weren't in downtown. I can't imagine what it would have been like working midnight at a downtown Starbucks in Toronto. My main characters are, I'm not sure what ND stands for, and arrow, so it took me a while. What does ND stand for? Okay, I was looking for answers in the wrong area. That makes sense. Okay, let me turn on the timer. And let me do the clicky clackies. My mom thought it was my dad and his friend in masks playing a prank, as there was some kind of movie about robbery. Then she saw the gun. She did a stupid heroic act. Police called. No one was hurt. Well, I'm glad they got through it without getting hurt, but damn, that sounds like quite the experience. I did assume that this was like previously in the past sort of thing, not a this happened the other day kind of story. Not that that makes it any less terrible that they had that happen, but damn, I can't even imagine how I would respond if someone pointed a gun at me, honestly. Oh, I turned on the 30-minute timer instead of the 20-minute timer, didn't I? That's fine. We'll just stop at 10 minutes early. I even very specifically said I'm going to run a 20-minute timer, and then I turned on the 30-minute timer because, of course, I did. It was like, that was more than 3 minutes. Boneless or bone-in wings? I've never had boneless wings. I've always had bone-in. So I guess bone-in, because that's what I'm used to. I've never had boneless. Do they taste the same, Wolf? Fair. Bone-in wings are quite messy. I've always imagined that boneless ones would be easier to eat, but I've just never had them. Just chicken nuggets, but better? Interesting. Also, Landon, how's it going? Welcome in. Nice to see you. We are wrapping up. We actually technically only have 4 minutes left on this sprint. I was supposed to put on a shorter timer than I actually did. So we will be wrapping up soon. But how's it going? Going good? Glad to hear it. Done. That was more than 1,000 words. I can already tell because I'm at 3,827 and we were at 2,600 when we stopped. So I'm always like, I think I can finish this in 1,000 words, and then I don't. I write way more. Where did I stop? I think I started there. So yeah, that was 1,189 words, a little over 1,000, which brings the total to 3,827. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think it fits into the story even better than I initially thought it would. I had actually had an idea for this prompt, this particular prompt, since the beginning of the prompt novel project. It was one of the first scenes, one of the first concepts that came to me for this. But I had been very specifically waiting and looking for the right time to put it, and I think this is the perfect time for it to do exactly what I wanted it to do. So, I'm really happy with how that turned out. I think now was the perfect time to do this particular prompt, which was a family on a hike stumbles upon a group of witches in the middle of casting a spell. I'm really, really quite happy with that. I know the sprint timer is still running. I actually only meant to run the 20-minute one, but we ran the 30 minutes. So while that is ticking down, I am going to see who is online so we can get a raid started. Because I gotta go make myself some food. Ooh, golly. I don't know why that was turned on. Sorry about that. Double me for a second. Let's see. Let's see if anyone is writing. I know a lot of my writers here are playing games. Let's check out the writer's tag and see who's on. The Egg and I is on, but I think they usually wrap up at around this time. And we did raid Moonlight Bard yesterday. Might hear sound, odd sound for a second.
Steve is at the moment, I believe, living in.
We're gonna try rating someone new to me. Someone new. So let's do it. I see someone called Writing with the Bear. Looks like they have, he has some stuff published on Vela, Kindle Vela, and is doing some Pomodoro. Looks like they might be on break right now. So let's pop over and say hi. Let's try meeting some new people. The name of the channel is Writing with the Bear. So, cool. Let's try it. Rune Wolf, hello! I saw that you finished the first act of your screenplay. Congrats! I didn't get a chance to congratulate you yet. I know that I'm sort of cutting off the sprint here, but it's just because I ran a longer one than I meant to. That was my bad. But thank you to everyone who hung out today. I really appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow morning again at 10 a.m., usually closer to 10:30 PST, with Ducks and edits. We're going to be editing the Aravalia Chronicles again tomorrow. That will be my last stream for July, unfortunately, on my channel. as I am going to be starting a late pass edit, which requires me to read out loud. And as I've discovered in the past, it's a bit awkward to stream that because I have to mute myself, and it's really weird when people come in and they're like, your lips are moving, but we don't hear you. So I'm happy for you and excited as well, Rune Wolf. It's amazing. Tomorrow will be my last stream for a little while on my channel. I will still be hanging out on other people's channels. You'll still be able to catch me on Wolf's channel every Saturday night. I will still be around, like in the Discord and hanging out. I'll still be around to sass people at Winds of Chaos streams. I just will be doing something that I can't really stream. Please do come hang out with us on Saturdays because we would love to have you. But until then, a shout out to Woof. Woof, thank you for shouting. I assume that was you shouting out yourself. Thank you for shouting yourself out because it weren't me. I am gonna pop the raid here. Woof is amazing, by the way. He always is like, no, don't follow me, whatever, but he's amazing. Super fun to hang out with. We always get into weird discussions about literary things and shows we're watching, games we're playing, weird, random, whatever. It's super chill. It's super nice. I sometimes fly a spaceship into everything and murder myself. Thank you again to everyone who hung out. I really appreciate you. Thank you to Wordy Girl for the raid as well. Appreciate anyone who came over on that raid and stuck around. And appreciate anyone who's been lurking the whole time, even if you didn't say hey. You're all appreciated. I hope you all have a fabulous day, a fabulous rest of your week, and that whatever creative endeavors you are working with this week, or future weeks, go well for you. We do get sassy. Sass is like the core of our brand, pretty much. I hope that I will get to see you all again tomorrow before I sort of disappear into the ether a little bit for a little while. But as I said, I will be on the Discord. I will be hanging out in other people's chats. I just won't be streaming on my channel for a while after tomorrow. You're all the best! Please take care of yourselves until I see you again. Take care.
Good. All right. So